Hey guys, this is Jim K4YCD and you're watching FEP Labs Radio. Thanks for stopping by. So today I want to talk about temperature. And in amateur radio and electronics and a whole lot of other things, you need to know if a component you have is running hot, too hot, you know what I'm talking about. So there's several ways that we can do this. And as hams, this is not something we're going to necessarily do every day. But you know, if it feels like my radio is a little toasty, I may want to know what the temperature is running on whatever component I'm concerned about. So we're going to test with a little Raspberry Pi. This is the Toads D-Star module right there. And I wanted to make this video because you've seen me do some other videos on Kaiweets meters. This is the HT118A. And like a lot of meters today, this one comes with the temperature probe setup. The other day I was talking about a meter and I mentioned thermocouple. This is a thermocouple. And that's that little sensor right there on the end of this cable. And what a thermocouple does is measures temperature basically. So with your meter, and this is on a lot of meters, if it has a thermocouple, a temperature setting, it's going to come with a cable that looks something like this. So you just plug that in where you'd plug in your normal probes. Obviously it's labeled. And then on your meter somewhere, you should have something about temperature. So right there, and you can tell that's the current temperature in the room. And then if I put my hand on this, you see it starts to rise. I don't know how long it'll take to get to 98.6 at this rate, but it's 88. There was 90. So that's what that works for. Now what you would do is take a piece of Kapton tape or something similar and then tape this probe to whatever device you were worried about the temperature. And this Pi is on right now. And you can see up here on the meter we have 81 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's just me holding it. And I can do that, you know, with anything. I don't have to put Kapton tape on it and get fancy. This is just a way, if you tape it to whatever you're trying to probe the temperature on, then your hand isn't near it when it gets turned on and you might shock yourself. Now I may want to know the temperature of the heat sink in my Raspberry Pi. Now I know where I'm poking right here. So that thermocouple is jammed between those slots. It's sitting on the heat sink. Actually, there's a heat sink. You can kind of see it there. So that's our temperature. You know, if I was running the Pi overclocked or heavy load on it, you would see this temperature start to rise possibly, but this is the heat sink, not the CPU. The CPU is probably a little warmer. In any case, because I know where to stick that in particular, I could do this with a thermocouple measurement like that. What if you can't put a thermocouple? Then you have another way to test the heat of something, and that's with one of these things. I got this off of Amazon. I'll put an affiliate link for this below in the meter, and anything else I show you on the video, there will be an affiliate link in the description below. It doesn't cost you any more, and it helps the channel by giving me a little bit of return when you buy something. So this is a infrared heat gun. These things are Legion on Amazon. Being as this is not an NIST lab, I'm not saying this thing is the most accurate dingus in the world, but it does the deed. So it has several functions, of which temperature obviously is what it does. You can change between Fahrenheit and centigrade, has a backlight, and I think you can turn the little laser on and off. So as this aims at something, it reads the temperature, and it basically is looking where that laser is. And you can see, as I put it on my hand, we went from 77, the temperature of the blue mat, 79, almost 80. We go from 80 to 94, just like that. So that's a pretty convenient way to check temperature on your equipment as well. This has the beauty of being something you can do at a distance. There's a range limit on it, obviously, but you don't have to be up on top of something like you were if you were using a thermocouple probe. Thermocouple. The last option is the neatest. This is an iPhone. This is a device from FLIR that turns your phone into a thermal imager. Now, let me get out of that app. There we go. Now I have it fixed so that the camera is at top and pointing that way. This is the thermal camera right here. This is the thermal imaging camera, and that's what this is. So that's why I got it turned away from me. And you can see here, if you look on the camera, the meter is about the ambient temperature of the background, of the mat. And I put my hand on it, and you can see my hand's a good bit hotter. Move my hand out of the way, and we can still see the temperature there. So this is nice for anything like just looking inside stuff and seeing if something's standing out is hotter than another something. And here's our Raspberry Pi again. And I mean, this is, if I can, I'm looking at a screen. There we go. So we can tell those are obviously those are the USB dongles, and you can see they're hot. That's their little magical core. And then you see in here, we've got heat coming up out of there because it's a lot hotter than the ambient background temperature. So something like this is great for, let me shut this down, this thing eats batteries. So this is the FLIR device, and I've had this for several years. I'm sure they've upgraded it by now. I think it runs on Android through a USB connector. This is obviously a Lightning connector. But this is a great little device too. And none of these were special or anything like that. I just wanted to share, here's some ways to keep track of your gear and look at it when it's in operation, because that's when, if something's going to go wrong, that's when it's going to happen, right? So a meter, most meters, a lot of meters, I won't say most, a lot of them have a thermocouple and a temperature probe. And this goes centigrade or Fahrenheit. These things are probably, I think, about $20 on Amazon. They're all over the place. They're probably at Harbor Freight. Your mileage may vary on how good it is. And then my last option here for temperature was a FLIR device that attaches to your phone. So those are the three devices that you may already have in your shack and never used. Wouldn't cost much at all to give you another option for temperature measurement. And holy cow, look at the pictures that thing is taking. Guys, that's all I got for today. 73.